Hi, I'm Don Bodan from SampleLibraryReview.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Bassist bundle here. This is from UJAM Instruments. This includes their Mellow stand-up acoustic bass, their Rowdy overdriven picked bass, and their Royal, which is kind of like their session pop rock bass instruments. What's really exciting about these is they built these virtual basses so you can perform them as you would a normal sampled instrument, but also they have player modes, so they're designed to act as studio session players, virtual studio session players, that is. And they designed them with what they call frustration-free design, which I really like the idea of this. They're basically trying to make products that make realistic music faster and easier, regardless of the music producer's level of experience. They got a couple great posts on their website, including an interview with founder Peter George, who says that 14 years ago, everyone had a few sample basses that passed for okay, but these days they have to sound real, and with an onslaught of requests, they focus their energy to create these three virtual bass instruments. Libraries download as 17 gigabytes in total. Their VST2, AU2, and AAX plugins. This bundle here does contain three separate bass instruments: Mellow, which is a stand-up acoustic bass; Royal, an all-around session bass; and Rowdy, a picked overdriven bass. These instruments all come with an instrument mode and a player mode, which I'm excited to explore, as well as some sound shaping and effects controls. And one thing that made me very curious about these instruments is they've got AI articulation modeling. So even though these are large sample library instruments, they're using AI to interact and sculpt. Able to adjust microphones, pick positions, mixer, and there's some rooms for us to play around with. Libraries normally sell for 129 euros each, and I saw that this Bassist bundle, all three instruments, is currently available for a 30% off discount if you pick up this as a Bassist bundle. With all three, you can grab them for 269 euros. I'll, of course, be sure to include a link to take you straight over to UJAM, as well as over to Sample Library Reviews, UJAM Bassist bundle page. I'll have any demos, videos, any other review videos I find across the web. Install for the virtual Bassist bundle is pretty straightforward. You download a package file on Mac OS, and then you just kind of run through a standard install. The only part that I kind of had a little trouble with is I didn't want to install all of the samples on my startup drive, and unfortunately there's only one option in the package Mac OS installer. It won't let me actually install on a separate drive. So installing everything first on my main startup drive is what I needed to do. Then after that was complete, I needed to then copy that over into an external drive, at which point, when you go to start up your instrument, you would then need to tell UJAM's basses where that blob file, which is their packet of samples, and then authorize the plugin with your email and password. All right, so this is a first look video, and what that means is I've never opened up the instruments before, except to make sure that they were running properly. I'm going to have a dig around. If you want to see the official videos on how everything works, then those will be linked in the description below. But this is a first look of just going through the instrument, sharing what it's like right out of the box, and getting some feel for maybe how I will use it or what else I might want to explore in the library. First up here is the difference between a player and instrument mode. So the instrument mode, what I really like about this is it's got this artificial intelligence that's like simulating playing. So even when I just pull up and play the instrument mode right as it loads, Hear those slides and a little bit of fret noise? That is being triggered just by the way the instrument's reacting to the way I play. Now, this is, of course, Rowdy. This is the distorted, picked, overdriven bass. It's got this fuzz here. So you get it more or less. And then we've got characteristics. So that's the hard character. And then we've got rounded. And this tame. And as you see, we got an E, but we also have this drop D, which is kind of nice. Really simulating that if you wanted to tune your lowest note on a bass down to D, which I often do, just gives you a little bit more range down there. So I've got some compression controls. I'm going to go back to the hard character because I think we'll be able to hear more with the compression controls here. And then we've got Equalizer, just a simple one knob from growl, neutral, bite. And then we've got some amp settings, some simple amp settings, metal. That's pretty cool. And cream, if it'll let me switch it here. Why not? No, there we go. And crisp. And then there's a direct in case, I guess in case you wanted to have a little bit more control over that. Your drive is only coming in once you run it through the amp simulator. So... And there's octaver. And I have an octave pedal myself. I use it on a guitar. It's kind of fun on bass. It adds that little bit of funkiness to it. So that's kind of the sound. You also see we've got some control for bend with our pitch bend. And then a damping feature with a mod wheel, which is kind of cool. It's kind of nice to be able to just dampen the sound and simulate that. With just that. That's the main things for the instrument. And it looks like we got quite a few presets as well. So this is kind of fun. I'm just going to listen to a couple of these introductions ones. you can see each of these presets is changing the main settings here. And again, this is that Rowdy one. So this one's made for post-punk, metal, hard rock. I especially like the timbre that we're getting. We're getting a nice bit of oomph in your low end, but a lot of crispness in those string and fret attacks. And as you can see, each of these loads up different setups. And right away, the thing that's impressing me with this engine is how intuitive it is. Just a little bit of overlap, and it is simulating and adding a little bit of slide noise. Which adds a lot of realism, in my humble opinion. So we got quite a few other presets and categories for classic, heavy, millennial rock, and then 70s, 80s. And it looks like you're also able to save your own presets. That's kind of cool. Now let's move over to this player instrument, because this I'm really interested to see exactly how this thing is going to work here. It looks like we've got from C3. We can play a chord, and C2 up. Changing our phrases. And then it looks like we've got the ability to just kind of play through some chords, and it'll automatically play different intros and fills, and then it's got 2 sections. So that was C2. Let's go down to C1. So that's looks like that's just with the common phrases triggered by playing chords. So I got 3 notes down up in the chord section. It looks like we get some changes here between melodic on and off. Let's turn it off and see what happens. Same thing I'm going to play. So it's playing more of just roots instead of playing melodically through the chords. I'll just jump back and forth between those so you can hear the difference. So when you turn the melodic off, it just sticks to the root. And it looks like we've got a nice collection of settings here. So let's just try something. And with tempo, I'm at 120 right now. So one thing I always like to do on these videos is get a groove going here. Let's see, like this. 120. 80. 210. Okay. So that is a way for me to play it and move my tempo in the DAW at the same time, and then that way you guys hear, and I can verify everything is tempo synced for this. So what's fun about this is we've got this new wave setting. Let's go so there's something a little bit more rockin' and check that out. Swinging industrial. And then we can go into our presets for timbre. So our instruments settings, tones, timbre, are all in the top. Let's just go to post-punk. I know this one will be, and then that way we're going to be playing a different sample and different sample set with adjusted tones and character, I guess. So you could see that probably getting a little bit of a tune together, getting your chords recorded into the MIDI, and then working from there should give you a way to kind of quickly create the bass lines with this. I think I'm going to have to get this used in real world, and maybe we'll do that at the end if I have enough time here today. We've got some additional settings here, which is kind of fun to have. Playback speed 1 or 2. Sometimes I accidentally do a quarter note for half notes, so this is great that I can switch it, still use the instrument even if I change my feel. Got push and pull for feel, whether you're going to be ahead or behind the beat, and then timing, whether you're going to be right on the grid or a little bit behind with loose, or a little bit ahead with the feel of the performance. Yeah, pretty cool so far. Let's go ahead and jump into Mellow. This is going to be the upright bass, and just the way that this entire instrument set up should be very similar. Nice warm sound right off the gate. We're in the player mode. We're going to start off here just to preview some of these. World Trip Hop, and I'm at 120, so it's a little higher than the original intended playback. And we're in the king size bass. Let's just check out this one, Benny Be Good. I imagine this will be a little bit more of a classic kind of sound. Yeah, I hear some slap in there that has got a really cool sound to it. And it looks like this instrument has a few different kinds of controls from what we looked at before. We've got room over here instead of our drive distortion. And then over here we have a microphone position from neck to bridge. You hear how you get a little bit more bite, the bridge position. And I'm really loving this character that's programmed into this. Probably would try to find something in between. Yeah, listen to those little gliss slides. Yeah, that's pretty good. Below the keyboard here, I didn't show this on the other one. There's some dead notes. Right here. Slides. Slide up. Slide down. Little bark. And then we haven't even left the second preset. Let's move along. I want to get more idea of the sound overall, the instrument. Also got some character changes. If you got your sub on, you're going to be feeling that. Your neighbor might be feeling this one. And that's natural. And we got drop D controls. You know, just playing a real short staccato note, it's intuitively playing a very realistic start and release sample. And listen to that when I do those heavy attacks. Those are like 115 velocity cc's, it looks like. Maybe 110 and up. It's getting that hard attack, that slap, that finger slap. Okay, and then we've got a hard character. As well as a tight. Yeah, you get a little bit more of your you get a little bit more of that growl oomph, I guess. And here we've got some mic settings. We got rounded, full, and hollow. And then we got room settings. As well as a compression. I'm going to go ahead and pull that room back off. And then a little one knob EQ, as well as that octave, which is a little bit weird. A little bit weird on this kind of instrument. We didn't make it through too many of these hip-hop high school. digging these triggered glide transitions. And we listened to Kingside's Bassists to start with. Let's go ahead and turn on the players and let's get our tempo matching this one, 180, and see what happens here. That's just the one phrase. I'm going to change up the phrase now. Very fun. Let's see what else. Quite a few of these changes set up for the player. I'm adjusting my tempo. Let's see. Yeah. Another, I'm really thrilled with the sound of this overall. This, just kind of flipping through these presets, I'm getting a real good feel. I think this player is gonna be cool if you're in a bind, or if you don't write bass lines, or maybe if you just need to quickly see what would happen if you had this virtual player up. For my purposes, most likely I'm going to go with the instrument to get started. Maybe once in a while I'll play with these phrases, because they do sound good and they do have a lot of human quality to them. But thus far, I'm loving the way the instrument reacts to performance, as well as these characteristic settings, the mic settings here. I can just barely hear them on this bass, but you do hear a different set of mics in the room. Let's move along and check out the next one, shall we? This is Royale. Now, this is the one that's listed as their pop rock all-around bass plugin or player. So I need to switch over. I'm on the Mellow still. Here we go. It's a really lovely bass sound. Again, those transitions when I'm doing this. You hear how it's giving me a little bit of a different performance. It's intelligently selecting a little bit of a different performance each time for those transitions, which I'm really liking. And we've got a whole bunch of presets for this one as well. We've got a few different settings on this. We got the pick setting from neck to bridge, which should change our tone quite a bit, as well as character settings, soft, warm, neutral, love these transitions, and hard. Got compressor as well as EQ. From vintage to modern. That's kind of nice. The EQ is set up a little differently than the other ones because this really does give a nice bit of character just with your EQ settings. You know, if you want 70s, want something a little bit more modern, it's rolling off a little bit of that high end. Also got amp settings for rock, soul, and pop. As well as a direct setting. And again, we can see that with our rock, pop, and soul, we've got different amounts of drive controls. And this octave. I think this damp here is going to be something that's going to be really useful. Because that's something that you naturally do if you're when you're playing bass. You're kind of using the back meat of your hand to add a little bit of mute, dampening the string. Dubby, that's a nice sound. And here's one that's got that nice octaver set up. Fun stuff. We didn't listen to any of the player just get a feel for these. Let's see what our options are. Quite a few of these. Modern reggae and pop. Let's go ahead and go to our dubby. Because I think this one might work well for that. Let's just do something in E minor, maybe. A little bit fast, but I am definitely feeling the dreadlocks growing. Let's go ahead and move along to a different set of samples here. Let's try some of these. So the way this is set up, I hadn't quite grasped it yet, but now I understand that these octaves are common phrases, and these are styled phrases on the white keys. And the black keys have different things. They've got intros on the C sharp and D sharp, and then F, G, and B flat. There are the fills. That's F sharp, G sharp, and B flat. Those are fills. And same thing here. Got a nice set of diverse sounding. So, oh, look at this. Here's a whole collection of controls that I did not dig into. I'll take a look and send you over to a video that'll probably underscore all of this for you, because it probably allows us to only play in specific major or minor keys so that you can't play a wrong note, from what I'm imagining the way they've set it up. Weight on my chest, I feel perturbed gracefully, committed an uprising. Overall, I am really pleased with the sound and responsiveness of not only the instruments with that AI articulation. I think they've really elevated the way you can play a line in and get some very realistic playback right out of your instrument. I'm a big fan of some of these controls. This damp control is amazing. These bridge to character amp controls, drive controls, really are going to let you be able to sculpt the sound of each of the instruments to create something a little new and a little bit further out from where you might have started with a preset. Although just flipping through these initial presets, these intro presets, I have a feeling that this is probably going to give you a great starting point for just about any kind of bass sound you might need for your tracks. This Mellow, I'm really loving. I'm absolutely thrilled with what they've pulled off here. Listening back to the performances out of this Royal, what I'm going to have to say about this one is I think this is the most versatile. I think with this one alone, you could get away with just about 90% of your bass tracks for electric bass. Rowdy, I think this one is probably got the most character as far as being able to transform and play all of these different styles of rock, heavy metal, bass kind of sounds. And I think I probably need to play through these 60s, 70s, or 70s, 80s, and 90s presets to really get the full feel. And this millennial bass as well. Yeah. I think that there's a lot in this instrument that it has to offer. In all three of these instruments, I am just thrilled with the way they put them together. Love to hear what you think about these libraries overall. Have you picked up any other UJAM instruments before? Is this the first time you've had a chance to hear through some of these? And I hope you've had your sub on, or at least some headphones, so you could enjoy the bassiness of these. Please comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And always like, share, subscribe. We'd love the support. We'll include links to take you straight over to UJAM if you want to check out more info, pick these up, as well as sample library reviews. UJAM Bassist bundle page with all the demos, any other review videos, and some thoughts about the library.